sort of space, some sort of, this is a thing and I'm declaring it, and this is the way you declare things.
Mm-hmm.
In other languages, you declare variables. Uh, so that was what I was going to try and I was going to try and take that mental shortcut. And then, in some later explanation,
Well, I mean, or maybe you could break it down as a class, right? How you have like classes that have specific functions, and this is more of the opened, define main, and then just go on where it can connect and interact with anything, unopposed to
yep,
the other way around.
yep, I can see that.
Now, I think the important point here is that that's a global name, and I haven't followed it exactly, but my understanding is they're removing support for global names. I sort of wanted to get into that discussion, but I hadn't looked into it. I think there's certainly global names are problematical, but I think there still may be applications for them.
Mm-hmm.
But and the important point about creating a new name is that the name only applies within the braces.
Yeah, so the new your
global name applies anywhere by anybody at any time.
and this is actually something I want to find out in terms of signing. So so for the new, all the new is doing is creating an unforgeable name that anyone else can have access to this channel except for you or whoever is allowed to.
Right, but the name you gave it, open channel, is valid only within the parentheses.
Correct.
The braces.
Correct. So as you can see, this open channel is here. So if I wanted to do let's just go outside here a little bit. Let's see what will happen if we try to communicate with the outside world. So let's see what's going to happen. No free variables. So I believe since it's not connected to the actual braces, obviously it can't connect to this channel unless, do you know how we could possibly call this on the outside if you wanted to?
If you put it in the registry and then you looked it up, you could do that.
So, yes.
I mean, you could write it to a public channel, but public channels I think, are going away.
Oh, here we go. At the bottom. Here we go. So already specified. It's sitting on the unforgeable. Now, do we know when they're gonna get rid of that completely, Jim?
Like I said, I haven't been following it. You could also write open channel to open channel, and you would see the unforgeable name in the output. Of course, you couldn't use it. Never mind.
Fair enough. So here, I'll keep going down this list here. So yeah, so that's essentially the best way of practice to create or add the new into it to almost harden it down instead of making it global to where it's very specific for you. Now, obviously this is how we will send and to receive. Oh, I didn't actually write down the receive on here. There's ways as well as you can receive messages on this channel. So we already sent open channel. So here, let's try to do something. Or let's see.
That's kind of reading from standard out normally is taboo.
It's a what?
Reading from standard out would be taboo, is normally taboo because standard out is writing to the log, and there's no way we can read from the log. I mean, perhaps we could, you know, we could read from standard in, maybe, but we can't. Oh, message from open channel. Okay, so you're going to read "Fly Me to the Moon."
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm gonna read from what we just sent on this channel. So what
Right.
I'm gonna do is,
That's right.
yeah.
You just sent "Fly Me to the Moon," right?
Yeah, but that's already commented it out. We're just communicating.
But you already wrote it. It should be in your. Oh, maybe you didn't run it. It should be in the tuple space already. Still, if you ran it at all, did you run it?
Yeah, I already ran it.
Okay, so let me play amongst the stars is what the last. Can you scroll up there? I mean,
Yep, that's it. Here.
No, down in the tuple space. We should see that. Oh, we output that. We lost the output. But if you scroll down in the storage contents there, we should see the "Fly Me to the Moon." If you sent it, it should still be on that channel until we read it.
Here, let me let's clear it out. Let me comment. Okay, let me run this first. All right, so now it's in the tuple space. So theoretically saying when we run it for when we want to listen for it.
Right, we'll get it.
So let's get right.
What are you doing? I thought you were you. So didn't you want to write message?
Oh, you're right. So let's see what this is. It didn't give anything back.
That's odd.
Well, I wonder we didn't get anything back because we put it in an unforgeable name and they can't read anything from outside of it.
No, that's not the case. So you're all the way at the top here. You're evaluating. You got nothing. open channel. Huh. Now, could it be that the tuple space is cleared every time you run something in CryptoFetch? I mean, if we run this in using Robot, it would still be in the tuple space. I don't know how it got out of the tuple space. It must be reinitializing it.
Yeah, that makes. Let's see here. Yeah, I might actually just boot up after this, and
if you uncomment it and then run again, it should work. You have to run it in the same run, apparently, because it clears the tuple space in between. So if we uncomment line 3 and then run it, we should get the output.
Here, Chris just sent me something in the chat. Let's try this out. Whoa. And for message, open channel. Big test. Let's see what happens when we. All right. So yeah, he kept, so in here in the new open channel, printing it out. So when we're listening for the message, which if I'm correct, Chris, you sent, this is a process that you're sending, right? Which is the message. So you're listening for a process on open channel, and then we're printing the message.
Right. It's like a shortcut. I'm saying I know that I'm receiving a name called MSG, but just right off the bat, as soon as I receive it, turn it back into a process.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
because
this is the same. Putting the ampersand in front of message in the 4 has the same effect as putting the asterisk in front of the message in the print.
exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so I'm going to start doing this now. Now, in terms of when you actually run it, like, is it beneficial for every time you execute this contract? It'll save on the portfolio, or it just doesn't really make a difference?
I sort of missed that question.
Like what? So by doing it this way, because I've always just did it like this way, then add the asterisk to it.
It's the exact same thing.
All right, so it still will cost like the same amount.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Well, let's run it. I know I use the syntax in different cases. I've never messed around with swapping it. Okay, so they are totally interchangeable. So I guess the idea is it's like a preference. If you know that, in that 4 line, that's the first time MSG ever appeared. And so you're going to put all the weird prefixes there. You could do it once and then just use MSG by itself anywhere inside of that 4. But if you don't do that, anytime inside of the 4 that you need to use MSG, you're going to have to put that asterisk in front of it. So, it's like if there's 3 times inside the 4 that you need to use MSG, then you have to put 3 asterisks. Or, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. Sweet. I just learned something new today. So this also goes down to what I wanted to lead off to next in terms of creating just a basic contract, right? So I just made a banking contract, really simple. We're creating a contract called bank, and it's going to accept only one variable called deposit. And then we're going to return or print your balance is deposit being, or deposit plus 10, assuming that you have the minimum $10 in your bank account. So as you see, when we run it, as soon as it runs, it returns the balance is 40. Now, I've also learned from actually Joshy, he said we could add the braces inside and make it a list. And so it'll come out clear. So let's see if that will work for this case. Yes. So now we see it written out as a list. Your balance is 40 instead of the other way around.
Nice.
And I have a couple more exercises that I'm writing up for each chapter. So I just only grabbed a couple from those exercises, but yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to go over and break it down in the most simplest way as like a step progression in that. So is there any questions, comments, or I guess teaching suggestions?
I think the in the contract line where you're declaring deposit for the first time, I think you can also do that ampersand there versus the stars throughout the rest of the. I'm just saying you can, and so I'm gonna need to investigate. There's one other scenario that I know of where I use stars or asterisks sometimes, and that's when I want to. When I'm passing something in that I want to receive something back on. So, like, if you didn't print the balance out to the screen, if you said, bank, and then the first parameter or the first argument was deposit, and that's a value you're going to pass in, you know, let's say you put an @ sign in front of deposit, and that's just a way to know this is a value that's getting passed in. And then you give it a second argument that you call balance. And balance is how it's going to return the current balance. And so I would not put an @ sign in front of balance, just so that I would mentally know, okay, everything with an @ sign is an inbound variable or an inbound argument. Everything without an @ sign is an outbound argument.
Oh, okay. So that's how you classify which. Okay.
Just for me, I don't think that's standard in any way. I just do it that way.
Well, that would make sense for best practices, though, because it does keep that note, that like that tidbit in your mind. Because even when I'm coding, I always get confused of whether or not I need to use the @ or the asterisk. So if I can, just or utilize that suggestion, I should be fine. So you're saying that we could just put a @ sign here, correct?
That's right.
And you said we can probably make a balance variable.
Well, it'll be like up in the new line, you'll have a new, and then balance is going to be one of the new things you're going to make now. And so you'll be sending deposit into balance. So it'll be like, balance, send, deposit plus 10.
Basically, all right, so you're saying balance. But since it's going out, I wouldn't need the asterisk anymore, correct?
Oh, good point. Yeah, the example I gave was balance is outbound. So yeah, you're right. You could no at sign. You could just do deposit plus 10 right there. And instead of balance in the new line, it would be balance is a second argument for bank.
So how would I wait? So you're saying I can put so balance is new argument, so I'll put
Yeah, the idea that I was kind of toying with there was that you have a contract with an inbound and an outbound. So that way you can get return values back. Like you want a contract that'll do something. So you've already got your first argument, which is an inbound. It's going to be deposit. And then you want to have an outbound that you won't put the at sign in front of so that you can just for yourself know that it's coming back out. And then when you actually want to use that contract, you'd have to make sure that you have a way of catching the outbound. So it'd be like saying new balance out, something like that. And then you'd say, I'm not giving you lines that are sequential. I'm just saying like these are the kinds of lines you would need to do this.
Now, wouldn't you just put in the contract bank at deposit, comma, balance? Although sometimes you need an equal sign to tell it that it's the same balance.
wait, so you're saying but you know, for instance, how you can assign variables like names. So assuming that we take this out,
Yes.
and can we still assign, so the, actually, balance equals,
We don't get to do that.
oh, we can?
Not. But you're just trying to set the balance value. So you're doing that on line 30. You're saying that's essentially balance. I can't call it a variable because it's not, it is a variable, but it's not. It's like just a place where you're saying store some data. That's essentially what you're doing there with that. With line 30, you're saying store some data in a storage place that I'm calling balance.
Gotcha. So it just creates it automatically.
Yeah, and so you can.
I don't see where balance is declared anywhere.
It's not. You have to do it on line 28. So right after you say at deposit, you're going to do comma balance.
Oh, gotcha.
So that way on line 36, you have to change line 36. You're going to, because you already have deposit that you're passing in. Now you need to get something back out.
Do I just enter and return?
You'll need to make a new argument. So right after 30, it's going to be comma, and you can do something like balance, star balance out. And then you'll need to declare that up on 27 as a new thing that you have.
Which is bow out.
Yep. And then if you wanted to print it, or you'll have to comma there after bow out on 27.
Gotcha.
But if you wanted to print it, you could wait for 36 to finish, and like with a 4. So you could say, 4, current balance coming out of like after line 37 or after line 36. So what you've got here.
But you don't want to call this inside the contract. You just want to call it from out. Why call it from outside specifically?
Yeah, exactly. You want to call it outside the contract. So the idea here is you've got a bank contract that you put money into, and the bank's got a promotion going where if you sign up for a new account today, we'll give you $10 extra.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're skeptical. And so you gave the bank $30 and you're like, okay, did they really give me the $10 extra? So now you want to check your balance right away. They gave you the balance back. They told you what it was.
Oh, and that's why you want to listen in for that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So we want to hear back from Bow Out. Right now.
It's the other way around. So you're going to make a new variable, and you can call this whatever you want, but it's going to hold your balance.
Well, let's just say, let's just do amount. So for amount and
you print it to the screen.
But would I have to do the? Is it best to do the asterisk since I'm receiving it, or no?
You could do either one, asterisk here or @ on line 37. Either one.
Yeah, let's do the at, so I can get into the habit of doing that.
Boom.
There it is. Okay, I didn't know. Oh, all right, because when I was like doing it, I always called and listened for it inside the contract. But now that I know we can do it outside, and so now that we created the affordable name, it's already linked to it, so it knows, correct?
Yeah.
Or no, it's still in the contracts. Never mind.
Yeah.
Or it's in the channel.
So this is a perfect example of something that I'm messing with right now. Like they've got the blessed contracts is what they call them, and the blessed contracts are the contracts that are going to be part of the Genesis block, I guess. They're the contracts that get deployed with the Arching network, and so that's going to be stuff like basic wallet, the coin mints, non-negative number, purses, stuff like that. There's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you can do with a wallet is you can check the balance. But to check the balance, you have to create a new block, which means every time you want to check your balance, you have to pay to check your balance. And that sounds crazy. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to, like where you have bow out,
Mm-hmm.
that is an unforgeable name. But the idea is it got created the instant you created your bank account. Like, you know what I mean? Like once you created that bank account and that got created as a new block, well, bow out exists from now on. Every new block that gets added is added on top of bow out. It's always going to be there. And so what I'm really getting at is there's a way to listen on an unforgeable name without having to add new blocks. So like I could write some JavaScript code that once you create this bank account, let's just say like on line 38 where you print out the amount,
Mm-hmm.
add a new line where you print out bow out so we can see the unforgeable name.
Also, it's going to kick us out here in a couple seconds. But here, let's do this.
Oh, this asterisk in front of it.
Yeah. I've sort of been through this, and the only way to do that is through the registry.
It's true. Well, there's something funny about it, but I'm just saying that unforgeable name forever and ever and ever, you should be able to check the balance of your account, without having to create a new block. So I'm trying to sort that out because that's part of the blessed contracts.
You can put it on the registry.
Exactly. But to do that, to look up something in the registry, you have to make a new block.
What if you make a contract, or not a contract, but instead of you doing that, I'm curious to see what would happen if when you first create it on this unforgeable name, let's just say instead of calling it bank, we call it, bank or John Doe's Bank. And then when it creates an unforgeable name, have it almost like what Jim says, stored in the registry to where it sends data to that other unforgeable name, which is your bank.